Hi, in this tutorial I am going to explain you historical background of VLSI. The invention of transistor by William Shockley and his colleagues at Bell Laboratories. Initially we have vacuum tubes, those are mechanical devices. The transistors, which is a solid state device, has a huge advantage over the vacuum tubes, that is smaller size, low power consumption and high reliability, were some of the reasons that made it is a winner over the vacuum tubes. About a decade later, Shockley and his colleagues John Bartin and Walter Bartin of Bell Laboratories were rewarded with a Nobel Prize for this revolutionary invention. Then we need to know what is Moore's law. Moore's law predicts that for every 2 years or 18 months, the component density on a chip would be double. Nowadays Moore's law is not more predominant, but it is very important for VLSI. Based on scale of integration, the IC technologies can be divided into 5 different categories. This table shows the IC invention of 5 different categories. First one is the invention of transistor. It is invented in the year 1947. Then we go to discrete components. This is invented in the year 1950. Discrete components, we have only one component. By using this, junction diodes and transistors are built. And then go to small scale integration. Small scale integration is introduced in the year 1961. In this we have only 10 to 100 number of components. By using this, we build planar devices, logic gates, flip-flops, etc. Then we move to medium scale integration. Medium scale integration is introduced in the year 1966. It has only 100 to 1000 components. By using this, we can build counters, mux, decoder, adders, etc. Then the technology moves to large scale integration on the year 1971. In these technologies, we can build 8-bit microprocessor, RAM, ROM, etc. Then the technology moves to very large scale integration. Our subject is in this very large scale integration. It is introduced in the year 1980. 20,000 to 50,000 components are required. By using these components, DSP processors, RISC processors, 16-bit, 32-bit microprocessors can build. Then the very large scale integration moves to ultra large scale integration. It is the advanced one. It is introduced in the year 1985. By using this ultra scale large scale integration, we can build 64-bit microprocessor, dual core microprocessors, etc. Then this is the evolution tree of microprocessor. Here in this tree we had trunk. This trunk is nothing but a microprocessors. In 1971 we had a 4-bit microprocessor. Then in 1976 we moved to 8-bit, and further Pentium processors, RISC processors, dual core processors, etc. On the left side of this tree we had a microcontroller branch. Microcontroller is nothing but a microprocessor plus memory. It is also called as on-chip memory. By using this, microcontrollers are used in embedded systems. On the right side of the branch, we have special purpose processors. Here the special purpose processor is DSP. By using these special purpose processors, we can use this in switching routers. This graph tells the Moore's law. In x-axis we have years, and in y-axis we have transistors. For increasing of years, here the y-axis of transistors also increases. That means the graph is in a linear position. Linear position means Moore's law is more predominant in the year 1970 to 2010. Here this graph shows the power dissipation of Intel processors. In x-axis we have area, on y-axis we have power in terms of watts. At 0.13 micrometer, that is 130 nanometer, we have Pentium 4 processor. Pentium 4 processor, the power consumption is 100 watts. It is the huge amount of power consumption. By huge amount of power consumptions, huge dissipation is also more. We had huge amount of heat dissipation. We required high components of coolants. It is the huge drawback in VLSI. We need to decrease this drawback. This is the historical background of VLSI. In next tutorial we will see why low power.